Can see better. Okay, now remember, I've been here before. Now this is my 4th time coming. I've been here once a month. We're talking about the history of ISDB and Gooding. The first time we talked about some successful blind. Then the second was the history, the Boise history of the school, and then when it moved to Gooding. And it was in Boise for 4 years. And then last month we talked about the history of the school in Gooding only. And today this will be the second part of the history of ISDB here in Gooding. Okay, the first rule is if you have any questions, please come to the front and sign your question. If you're signing, so the interpreter can voice it for all to hear. So I do have an old picture up here of the school. We had it here last month, and then here's another one, a newer picture. One's more of the plan, like a blueprint, and the other one's colored in. We have a picture up here. He was the 5th superintendent of the school. P.C. Potts, and his sign name was a P on the forehead. First, he was the superintendent of the Washington School, and then he came here to be the superintendent. And when he moved here, he was already fairly old. Principal in Boise, then became the 2nd superintendent before he left for Washington. And then later, after he was here, then we had one, back up. We had one die of the flu, and then the next the next superintendent was here for several years. Remember, we had a woman superintendent? Yeah. And she was the first one in Idaho. And then 5th, we have P.C. Potts. And he was a superintendent in Florida, the school there. And there was one teacher there named Ray that became superintendent here later on, before he moved here in Florida. So that was the 5th. Now we have the 6th. Sorry, P.C. Potts. Okay, his education and training was with the blind and VI, and he was superintendent for 4 years, and then he went back east to set up a blind school or work in a blind school back east. During 1930, we have a picture of a lot of cows. We drank raw milk straight from the cows, so we had our own cows here. And they were purebred Holsteins. That means for generations they have been Holsteins on down, from 1930 to 1957. Before that, they were not purebred. They were just different cows that they had. And these were the best in the state. They were very good cows. Here, I'm going to change topics here for a little bit. Now, the one superintendent said, no more cows. The children needs to drink milk from the town, from the stores. No more raw milk. Cannot. It needs to be cleaner, what we get from the store. So they sold the cows. And they were very good cows, and the farmers knew it. Knew that they were also the best in the state. So that time they sold the cows for milk, about $30 each head, or about $300 each head. But these were $800 each, because they were the best cows. And that was in 1957. Next superintendent, his name sign was, you know, we've had the S on the head, the P on the head. This one is Burton W. Driggs. And he was superintendent for 19 years. He was the 6th superintendent. He graduated in 1955 from the deaf school. He had a hearing brother that was superintendent at another deaf school, his older brother. You know, I'd never seen this sign before that we have up here. Do you guys know where it was at? It, okay, it was right out front where Main Street was. Oh, the superintendent didn't like it at that time. He wanted it more open. So he took down this sign. You know, and I'd never seen it before. It was handmade by a boy. And then it was set up. Then in 1940, do you know where this building is? You see that big large stack? That big large stack is still here, but it's painted red. At the time here in the picture it was white. And we have the laundry room, the wash room, or the wash building. And this provided the heat to the boys' dorm. And they parked the buses along there as well. And this is 1940. Now we have the old boys' dorm, and it's still there. And it was set up in 1941. And I went in there in 1942 when I was 5 years old. My oldest brother went the year before, and then I started. And it was a brand new dormitory at that time. When my brother started, when I came, it was about a year to 2 years old. It was a War Corps building. It was $100,000. It was fireproof, so it wouldn't burn down. Had full cement walls and cement around the attic. Taylor's coming forth to ask a question or to make a comment. So what happens if the fire started on the inside? It couldn't consume the whole building. It was unable to because it was made of cement. And the walls were not wood, they were cement, or they were not made of plaster. They were full cement. So that's the reason why it's difficult to let it collapse or to tear it down, to destroy it. It had water problems. It was tough to fix it because they were inside the walls. Had a small shop for the boys to be able to fix things. We have another question. You know the boys that were blind before? That person, you have the picture? No, I didn't say that. About California, yeah, the superintendent. He was hearing, but his education was in blind, working with the blind. No, he could see. He wasn't blind. The small boys, see these windows up here and the windows down below? The small boys were upstairs on this side, the small girls down below. This is the deaf. Then we have the blind boys over here. Oh, to send love notes, they tie it to a string and hang it down to the window down below, and the girls would see it and they would grab it and read the little love note. And then yank on the string and the boy would then pull it back up, and that's how they communicated with each other. How did a fire start? No. Before, how did the other fire start? They had some kind of a bell. Oh, they had a fire alarm that they pulled with their hand. And it was like a big old foghorn. Can you guys kind of feel it or hear it now? You didn't even
need a hearing aid. It was loud.
See that big stack in the background? It's painted red. This was the second building. Remember when I was telling you about different buildings that were built? This is the second one. In 1912 to 1942, they moved the new boys' dorm and changed it to the Volk building. In this area, they had a print shop on the main floor. Then up above it, they had a beauty shop. What was in the front corner? It was different. Oh, the typing up above the print shop, then back behind it they had the beauty shop. And then they had another shop in the other corner. And then they had a home ec and sewing for the girls. And up above that were the art rooms.
That's my room.
Oh, Arden was saying that was his room a while ago. And here on the front porch, they had a front porch that they later took down. And they took it down when they changed it to the Volk building and put trees in front that have grown. And then they added in the back. So you can see the line there. This is where they added the building. You see the different color? One side's lighter than the other. One's a darker yellow and the other one's lighter, and that's where they added onto the building for the vocational classes. Here's the print shop, and it was very big.
In the back.
That Spirit Rock is right close to the back of that area, the Spirit Rock we have now. This was behind Cottage 2. The Spirit Rock, right where the Spirit Rock is, it was actually next to where this building is. You'll see on the next picture, I think. Here's the same building, the Vogue building. And this tree back here is still there. We still have this tree. And the spirit rock is right next to that tree. And it's a black locust.
Yep.
And this other tree in the front of the picture is gone. And here's the road right along there, the large walkway. When you go to the Spirit Rock, you can see that big tree, and it stands there all by itself, and it is a black locust.
You said that there is ghosts in the boys' cottage, or in the boys' dorm. Is it true?
You know, it's not true. There are no ghosts in there. We have a story about a ghost in the old boys' dorm room. That was just acting and fun. Have you guys seen that movie before?
Which one?
What was the name of the movie? Who remembers?
Casper from the Ghost?
Mr. Ho? Okay. Mr. Ho. You know Roddy Cabbage? Anybody remember Roddy? He's in that play. It was during his time. And we acted. It was a drama. And I died. And then my ghost was in the building. It was a ghost story. I have a real funny story, right? The movie is in the library. And you can go ask to your teacher or see if you can rent it and watch it. Now we have a picture of the campus from up above. There's a school building with a girls' dormitory set up. And then the first building in the back. And then the boys' dorm, which changed to the vocational building. And then the boys' dorm that we have now that is still on campus. And there's no superintendent's home before 1950. And it was a hayfield. And you see there's no round building there either. And we have a baseball diamond here. And if it went over the tree, it was considered a home run. And then there's those two lines there, or two, I can't tell what they are, but they are gone. They're a smokestack, looks like, and they're gone. And then we have now the dining hall, which the dining hall is right there. And the girls, another girls' dorm. And then the blind school. That's all along there. Before it was all farmland where cows would graze and eat the hay. And then we had an apple orchard in the back. When I was growing up, there's an apple orchard way in the back. And we'd run and grab apples off the trees, and boy, were they delicious. Now that is where Ken's home is located, right around in this area. And all the trees are gone now except for one. I think there's just one left. Main Street runs right here to the right of the picture. Sidewalk is right there. There's a small white strip, and that goes from the train tracks all the way past the deaf school, clear out to the old college. Right where McDonald's is in the hospital, that area. There's an old building there called the Old College. And it was 1 mile long. See this picture here?
No.
And back behind, there was a road. We had a road back behind the buildings, right along between the field and campus. Oh, there was a road between the dorms and the school and the eating hall, and they didn't feel it was safe. And this is the old road right here, so they moved the main road back further. And back at the very back of the picture is a barn. This picture is during the wintertime, and it has a lot of snow-covered trees. And the whole walkway is covered in snow. Some of these trees are still here. I saw one tree, and it is a mulberry tree. And it's still there. It's an old tree. And here's a girls' dormitory. The first time the girls' dormitory was on the ground. Before it was on the second floor, so it always up above. And they were both, boys and girls were on the main floor divided, and then they moved the old school building, then the girls went upstairs, and then finally they built one that was one level on the ground for the girls. And this large building back behind was the first building built. You know, I have a funny story. Oh, go ahead and show us the next picture. The next one, please. This going south. We had deaf girls on one end and blind girls on the other end. One day,
What's that? What's that? What's that?
okay, why is the other school there? Yeah, that was the girls' dorm. That's where they lived. That was the girls' dormitory. That's where they slept. You know, like a cottage, but we called it dorms. We had the deaf girls on one end and the blind girls on the other end. One time a blind girl was playing outside, and the door was open. She had a false eye, one false eye and one real eye. And she was looking out, and it had fallen, and she couldn't see to find it. And the other blind girl came, and they were all feeling all over the ground, and they couldn't see it, but they were still looking for it. So what did they do? So the blind girl went to the deaf girl and asked for help and said, "I can't find my eye." And the deaf girl was like, "Your eye fell out?" Okay. So they went. The deaf girl went with them, started looking, and there was her eye, looking up at the deaf girl, staring right at her, and she picked it up and handed it over to the blind girl. And the blind girl cleaned it up and put it back in. Kind of real funny, because she was scared, because there was his eye looking at her from the ground. So the next year we have the new gym, and this is a third one, and that we still have it, but we don't use it anymore. It's out there where the pool is located. I was a freshman when it was built, and after I came back for Christmas it was open, and the first game I couldn't play because I was sick with the flu. I couldn't participate in the first game. And I missed our first game. And we won without me. We won our first game in the new gym. Maybe it's because I wasn't playing, huh? This is one of the best in the Magic Valley. It was a very nice gym with the bleachers that sat up high and then the dressing rooms down below. On the north side of the building, we painted Home of the Redskins. And, you know, now we've changed it and we're known as the Raptors. And we had a picture of an Indian. Why before Redskins and then changed it to the Raptors? How come we're still not the Redskins? To me, it makes sense just to stay the Redskins. Let me explain a little bit about history. In 1938, right around there, and before, there were really no mascots at that time. And then in about 1938, we started mascots, and we named it the Indians. And we chose the name Indians, Indians. You know, but the Shoshone already were the Indians, and another town was already known as the Indians. You know, we respect the Indians here. And so we were the Redskins. Then in 1979, 78, 79, right around there, the Indians were complaining because we were called the Redskins, and they didn't like that. They felt it was an insult to them and their culture. You know, just like black people before, they were called Negroes. And they felt offended, so they were then called blacks. So same with this situation. The Indians felt like it was being an insult to their skin color. And so the state told us we had to change it, so we changed it from Redskins to Raptors. Many people were upset. So, we have Redskin. Somebody back here said he was Redskin. I was a Redskin, and it changed to Raptors the year that I was in school during my time. I think I was a freshman at that time.
Dustin Reese.
And that was Dustin Reese that was saying that, one of the teachers here on campus. The next superintendent, Ray, R-E-A-Y. He was superintendent for 21 years. He was the longest one in history. And second was somebody that started with a D. Can't remember his name. He taught at Washington School in another state in Florida under another man, and then he moved here. They crossed paths, actually, because they both transferred to another place. Before, the other superintendent was superintendent in North Dakota. And then one from North Dakota came here. So we've had many superintendents that were former superintendents from other states move here. This is the home for the superintendent. It's brand new. It was the first one. 1959 was when it was built. And we still have it. Cost $36,000 at that time to build, and it was very nice. There's a picture of the house, and it has a couple standing in the front, and that's Superintendent Ray and his wife. Do we have time, or are we running out of time? What time do we have? Anybody have their watch?
Yeah, but I think it's wrong time.
5 minutes left is what it looks like. Mr. Ray, Superintendent Ray, he studied about deaf education. And what did his wife do? Set up the infirmary. This is the first time we had a nurse on campus. And his wife set up the infirmary here with a nurse. Now we have the dining hall, 1962, and the infirmary is right over here. And that infirmary has been taken down. After the earthquake, the infirmary that was attached to the dining hall building was taken down. Oh, I think I put the wrong picture. Blame Aditya, he's running the slide. Or no, maybe it's Mercedes' fault. She put up the wrong picture. That's his dormitory for the girls. Anyway, not the dining hall picture. So we had another girls' dorm built. Now here's a picture of the dining hall on the inside. Has several tables and chairs. And this is the same place where you guys eat now. And the tables were long and rectangular compared to what you have now, which are circles. And here's the teacher's room off the side. And now the teachers don't tend to use that anymore. Here's the infirmary. This is the new infirmary with some beds set up. Here's a picture of the beds that were in the infirmary. Then we had the third girls' dormitory. You know where the audiology is? That's that section there. And then right out here is the teacher's room, the library. That's the library there. And that was known as the teacher's room. And it became they hooked it all together for one complex after the earthquake. There's a dormitory sign again. And this, over at the old gym, they added a pool in 1966. It is a very nice pool. But now, we don't use it anymore. It's warm water, it's a heated pool, and it's indoors, and it's Olympic size swimming pool. Here's construction of the round building in 1969. And here's the completion. Right in this area is the museum. Before it was an old print shop and they changed it to the museum. Then all along the area here where there are windows and it moves on around, that was the young boys' dorm. Like 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Here's a dining hall, the girls' dorm, and the school, and they all connected it. It was all connected together. This is the KC building where the blind students went to school. And Orville Casey. Here's Orville Casey. And he was the first blind student in Boise. Then when they moved here, he continued. He wasn't for sure what to graduate. He went into business. A successful businessman, and he was born in 1900s. Here he is again, Orville Casey. This is during the speech. Here's another blind graduate, Jesse Anderson, from 1931, and he's a famous legislator in Utah. Very famous person. He's dean of the blind building. And then we started deconstruction. In 1975, this is demolition of the main building. You know, the old building, they had the blind students and the girls, and they moved them out, and then added the dining room, and finally it was empty, and they tore it down. and you see the big old wrecking ball, and they just drop it straight through the roof. And it goes through all floors all the way down to break it apart. Sorry, we don't have any time for questions, guys. You know, our time is up, but we can go ahead and finish this next month. Thank you for coming. Do we have any quick questions? Okay, thank you, and we'll see you next month.